He said, make sound. He turned off the light. It was darker than I'd ever experienced. And I began to go, and the room became illuminated on what is called bioluminescence. Sound, shaped into dazzling tool, can make, break, or rearrange molecular structure and levitate objects. See, to create, remember the ancient Egyptians with the ox? To create a field. And the field allows you to travel through it. And harmonics create the field.
How the ancient traditions versus now the modern, let's say, solfeggio frequencies, how do they work together?
Are you aware that I'm the person who brought the Solfeggio frequencies to the planet? Okay, let's do this conscious humming thing as a portal. The intention. But it's important when you have the intention to also practice what is called non-attachment. Can we play a game for just a second so that people know that this is real, and then we can try it? When I said that...
Hi, this is Akanksshaa. If you're new here, please subscribe to my channel. If you resonate with me, please like, comment, and share. Welcome to Multidimensional Soul Podcast and a Talk Show. We have with us today Jonathan Goldman, who is the pioneer in sound healing. He's coming to us from the US. A very warm welcome, Jonathan, on Multidimensional Soul Talk Show and Podcast. It's an honor to have you here.
Akanksshaa, it is a blessing for me to be in your presence and resonating with all the extraordinary beings that are going to partake in our exchange today. Give thanks.
Thank you. Namaste. This is part 2 of a 2-part conversation. If you have not watched part 1, then we highly recommend that you watch that. The link for that is provided in the video description. Yeah, but I have never used sound as a portal to connect with.
Oh, well, okay. So using sound, you can either do your own sound, such as, because sound simply helps facilitate and empower what you want to do. Okay? Let's do this conscious humming thing as a portal. A lot of times I would use music that I create that is designed to, if you like, travel. It uses specific frequencies that are both, I like to combine sacred sounds from different traditions with the different science of sound, to how to work with brain waves and all that stuff. So I basically sort of create a cosmic soup that people can travel in. But once again, because we're all unique vibratory beings, I would say go to Jonathan Goldman and try different sounds that I have. I have one that I personally love called Merkaba of sound that I use all the time, and it has to do with my working with something called the Divine Name. And there's Lama Tashi, one of the Dalai Lama's favorite chant masters, doing the and we all do it in a relationship to this 8 to 13 thing, and I really travel on it, and it works for me. And it's won lots of awards. But my chakra chants recording, a lot of people like that one. Another one called Holy Harmony, another one called Ultimate Om. I have about 25 different recordings, and lots of people really like them. And when people say to me, oh, I use this recording for X, Y, or Z, all I can do is go, great, thank you. I'm glad it works for you. So I would say listening to the recording, being still, and having then the intention. But it's important when you have the intention to also practice what is called non-attachment. Because if you're too attached to something, it becomes very self-defeating. You need to let go and be fluid. So having non-attachment, but the intention, right? The intention, I want to do this, and then you let yourself go off to a higher power, to something that is greater than you. This gets into the phenomena, of course, the same thing, sort of thing as manifestation. People manifesting stuff, they want to manifest. And I think I think what happens is that people get so trapped into, it's got to be this, to attachment, that gets in the way. You have to have the level of gratitude. You have the level of appreciation. If you can do love and compassion, that's all it takes. If you get too locked into what you want to manifest, it may not, you may think it's for your highest good, but maybe the spirits that work with you know better.
Yeah, that's the question, the next question that I was going to ask you. That I have heard that each soul has a signature soul sound or soul song.
Of course, right.
So, how can we find what is that and to tune into the divine symphony so that we can co-create with ease and we don't have to like manifest in a hard way?
So, all right. So listen, I'm going to get back to humming now. Okay? Because the whole soul sound, and I totally understand this, but one of the key things, all right, I want to talk about conscious humming, okay? And when we do conscious humming, there are a few things that are important. Number one, you have to, of course, begin to do deep breathing. That's the basis of everything. Take some nice, deep, diaphragmatic breaths. And then you want to have your lips closed. And you want to hum on one note. You don't want to hum a rag or the 1812 overture or anything like that. You want to go, Now you want to do it on a comfortable note. Something that where your voice isn't strained and it's comfortable. And most often it's really within your conversational voice. And I often say to people, a lot of people are looking for their soul sound. Usually it's very much within your conversational voice. You've been sounding your conversational voice for your whole life. Don't you think that's the sound that you resonate with?
True, but what happens is since our childhood, it's not always that we express our most authentic and soul sound, because we get so much of societal conditioning and we are told we are not good enough, or there are so many limiting beliefs, and these are through the generations and through lifetimes.
Totally.
And that's why we may not always express our most authentic soul sound. If we were to...
You're right. You're right about that, but I will suggest that for most people, their conversational voice, see, getting into being able to sing is different. I'm not taking, that's a whole nother level, which is wondrous and great. But I want to take I want to bring sacred sound healing to the people. And opening up the voice is such a high level. It is like teaching somebody to be able to walk rather than having them become a marathon athlete. They're all great, but this is just a little easier. Now, even with a conversational voice, there are some people who have voices that are kind of sound like this, sound like this, like that. And that's actually not a vocal problem. That's actually a hearing problem, believe it or not. This was discovered by a doctor by the name of Alfred Tomatis. And he basically, I write about this in my first book, Healing Sounds. There is if you like, an effect called the Tomatis effect, which says that the voice can only create those harmonics that the ear can hear. So people who have a voice that is like, they're not hearing their voice as being very low or so once again, it's a hearing situation. And if we can open up our hearing, that this is a whole nother realm. I'm trying to just do with the conversational voice. And your conversational voice is going to be different than my conversational voice. Did you know that our voice, because the harmonics, and this is a whole nother topic, are unique and different, so that our voice print is unique as our fingerprint. So everyone's voice is unique and could perhaps be a composite frequency, because there's no one frequency that occurs in real time. There are these composite sounds. This is a whole, my wife and I just got done doing a sound satsang on harmonics, just so that people can understand that the concept of single tones is illusionary. It says, because whenever we hear sound, you're hearing my voice now, hundreds of different composite tones all together. And everybody's voice are like that, these different composite tones. So really the idea of frequency is more illusionary than you might think, because it's such a complicated idea, but it's so powerful and so important that I hope that people understand the concept of harmonics. As the ancient mystic music masters understand that harmonics can be used as, if you like, stepping stones, as a stairway to heaven, as a gateway, as a portal to other dimensions, just listening to these sounds. But I'm going to get back to the hum for just a second, okay? You want to hum at a comfortable pitch. Can we play a game for just a second so that people know that this is real, and then we can try it? When I said that the hum was the most powerful vibroacoustic sound, I want you to do a hum on one note and pinch your nose as you're doing it.
Okay.
Would you do that?
Yes, sure.
Okay.
So you want me to
Here.
do it now?
Okay. Yeah, I'll show you. Right.
Okay.
But I want you to try it. In other words, I did the hum and I pinched my nose, and tell you what happened to you.
The sound
stopped. You couldn't hum. Right. So you can't hum if your nose is pinched, because the sound is all in here. Did you know that?
Okay. No.
Most people don't. So I say, if you didn't know that, do you think there are other things about the hum that I could share with you? But the idea is, therefore, see, as soon as I open my mouth, the sound is coming out, which is great. But for the most powerful sound, remains in the sinus cavity, the skull, the whole throat region. If your lips are closed, then you get the vibrations there.
So coming back to my original question.
Yes.
Are you suggesting that we don't need to find our soul sound and rather practice humming, or what do you say?
I'm suggesting, I have been, since we wrote this book, so it's probably been close to about 10 years. And once again, I've done as many mantras as you can perceive, of as many overtones, as many intervals, as many this and that. I've come back to the hum as being the central one from which all other sounds are created. You know the Yoga Sutras?
Yes.
By Patanjali's?
Patanjali Yoga Sutras.
Sutra 1.27, this is my translation of it, but it's basically the original sound of creation was pranava, the humming of prana. They had to give it a name, so they called it Om. So the Om actually stems from the original cosmic hum, which is composed of all different frequencies. You probably know that there is an advanced yogic technique called Brahmari Pranayama.
Yes. I have practiced.
Which is basically
Brahmari.
Humming simply and blocking your nose and doing a mudra. And that's great, but this is about 90% as good. It's not quite as good as blocking your nose, but it's something everybody can do. And so let's share that. Let's try this, okay? So we're going to hum at a comfortable pitch, and initially I want to just do it 5 times, and then an equal amount of silence, okay? So what we're going to do, and the first thing you want to do is you check yourself out. How are you feeling? What are you feeling? So that afterwards, when you're in silence, you can say, oh, this makes me feel different. Then you take a couple of nice, deep and relaxed breaths. Keep closed. You hum on one note that is in the comfortable range of your conversational voice. Do it about 4 or 5 times, and then be in silence for an equal amount of time. That's the first step of conscious humming. Are you ready to try that?
Yes.
Okay. So taking a couple of nice deep breaths. Nice deep belly breath and maybe releasing with a sigh. And taking another one. And now, on this next one, sounding forth the first of a series of hums with your lips closed, feeling comfortable. And louder is not better, more is not better. You don't have to match my pitch or anything, just whatever resonates with you, and begin to be aware of the sound vibrating. So we'll take a nice deep breath and taking another nice deep breath. And another nice deep breath. Nice deep breath. And one more. And just checking yourself out. Do you feel any different? This is just a short, minor experience. And yet I can tell you that for myself, I feel very relaxed and peaceful and kind of blissful. And Akanksshaa, if you could come back and tell me how you, how did that feel for you as a seasoned hummer? How was that for you?
It was blissful. It was very beautiful and blissful, yes.
As you have worked to open up and resonate your crown with the hum, let's just, you and I for right now, see if you can take another breath, and just with your intent, focus on having the sound resonate in your chest area. We'll do just a couple of hums that one, just to see if you can have that experience. Because once again, the attention and the intention, so taking a breath and doing it so it's going to vibrate here. You ready? Here we go. And do it again, and maybe even just touch yourself lightly over there to see if you can feel the vibration. And if you want to change your pitch a little bit, make it a little lower, you can do that too, to get it there. Just make sure it's still a very gentle, relaxed sound. And as you're doing that, take the other hand and put it on your belly and see if you can put the sound there with the same hum, maybe a little lower in pitch, but very relaxed, almost on the breath. Take one more breath and then now bring it up to your head. Just you can modulate the pitch a little bit and move it around to different parts of your body. Okay. Were you successful at that at all, or?
Yes. And my attention to the heart chakra, then it will open up the chakra. Usually humming for me has always been opening the crown chakra.
Right.
But
no. Yeah.
This time when I tried focusing on heart, it did activate the heart chakra. And it's wonderful. Actually, there is a lot of discussion about heart-mind coherence. And
yes.
Bruce Lipton,
yes.
Dr. Joe Dispenza, they talk
no,
Heart Math Institute.
So this is a subject we can talk about real quick, but to say that do a lovely guided global Om for our sound satsangs, And it simply is basically being in a state of gratitude, breathing in and out through your heart, etc. But what I wanted you to experience with this was the fact that you can direct the sound with a slow lifted pitch to, I don't know if you can feel it down in your belly, but the more you do this, the more you practice, the more you'll be able to just take the one sound. Because are you familiar with the Bija mantras, the Bij mantras?
Yes, I actually am a meditation teacher for primordial sound meditation. So I do initiate people with Bija mantras.
And lam, vam,
Chakra mantras, yes.
ram, hum, right? So it's like, so the hum, which is oftentimes, depending on the teacher, but you can either go lam or lam. So you can do it that way and find that you can use the hum to resonate the chakras as well.
Yeah, very powerful. Thank you. You talked about biology of belief and Dr. Bruce Lipton's work, and you have also been working on vibration at the cellular level. So can you explain a little bit about how sound works with the DNA?
This is, wow. To a degree, I believe that the essence of the sound, if you like, the electromagnetic resonance of it basically vibrates it. And there's a fellow by the name of Dr. Glenn Ryan who has worked with heart math to show that the energetics of love actually affect the, if you like, the DNA, the idea of compassion and love. And I'm just going to suggest that vibration simply amplifies it. That's all it does. The vibration of sound is coupled with the intentionality and works on a level. Breath is great, and the hum or whatever sound that you're making is simply the breath made more audible. There's very little between and except that, you know, I have been in some very, very almost out-of-body experiences where I had to be aware that I was doing, making sure that, and I realized that the only sound that I could actually make then was the hum. The hum was something that was so primordial that I couldn't perhaps make consonants, but with the mouth closed, it was really easy, and I could then begin to project the sound into different parts of my body and brain. So once again, it's a matter of coupling, if you like. You have the breath, and then you take just one higher level. So in terms of the mechanisms, I don't know that anybody really knows. There are really theories on it, except that simply you're getting a little bit of shake up, and fluidity and being fluid is probably one of the key elements of life, the universe, and everything. If we are static, we're like the board that blows and breaks in the wind. But if we are fluid, we can go back and forth, and through working with fluidity, with sound, when we hum, we give ourselves a sonic massage. That sonic massage allows the, if you like, vibrations to pass through the cells and literally frees them up from their stasis. On a level in terms of healing, a lot of imbalances are simply blocked energy. The energy is blocked, and if the energy is blocked, it's usually stagnant. It's usually stagnant, it's not fluid. if you can somehow get the sound vibration to pass through that, it opens it up, it frees it, and all of a sudden the energy is moving, it is no longer blocked, and you have a healing.
Oh, I wanted to ask you that question. The trauma is especially stored in the body, and when there is deep grief and deep trauma, it gets stored in the body in the form of knots or fibroids and blocked energy. And when you do the sound healing, then it will help that release. How will humming help? Will the humming, conscious humming, help that as well?
Totally. We have actually a chapter on humming for PTSD in our book. So that, and of course, I am not stuck only on the hum. I'm just doing it because it's such an easy, powerful sound. I love to work with the but not everybody can do that. A lot of people have really, I don't want to say blocked aspects of that, and I can teach them to do this, but I'm talking, this is now I've got a short amount of time with you. What can I do that will assist you and anybody who's listening with finding a technique that has the potential? You know, the hum is it's like a gateway sound. It opens people up to further aspects of sound. It's not the only sound, but I've been actually doing it now, and the more I investigate it, once again, being able to go, I was actually able to take the energy, go from here to here to here, because I've become a little bit more adept at humming. Now, I used to be able to go, and that did it too, but that's a little more complicated for most people. So I'm just trying to give an easy starter for people.
Yeah.
But the hum works with a lot of things.
Amazing, yeah. Because you talked about the intention and the attention. So when you have the intention and attention along with humming, let's say you give intention and attention for healing those blockages in your body, wherever they are, and then they'll get released with the humming.
Yeah, I continue to be amazed at the power of the hum. I'm not restricted to it. I do a lot of different things, but this is one that I do particularly when and you can hum most of the time in public and people won't even be aware of it. They go, what? Because they'll hear a little, and you can be using it to like resonate yourself, to calm yourself, to basically take your field and literally generate the field. Because once again, it is a sound, and the sound is not restricted to the intention. Intention is not restricted to the sound. Whatever you want to utilize, you can, if your heart is pure.
Yeah. There is a lot of discussion nowadays about solfeggio frequencies and 528 hertz, 852, 963. You have studied both science and spirituality, and you have studied and researched many different traditions. So can you talk about how the ancient traditions versus now the modern, let's say, solfeggio frequencies, how do they work together?
Are you aware that I'm the person who brought the Solfeggio frequencies to the planet?
Wow. Okay.
And they first manifested on a recording that I did called The Lost Chord, and then after that, all 9 of them were done in holy harmony. And they're great. And my colleague, Dr. Glenn Ryan, has done some research with them in terms of the DNA, and he's found that the ascending sequence of all 9 tuning forks is very, very powerful. And also, I want to say that a lot of people have found them very, very effective individually. And I honor this. I honor this. Because believe in something, if our intention is there, if something is there that this frequency is going to do something, why wouldn't it do it? So that's great. But I think that we are extraordinary beings of light and love and sound. And to restrict our understanding of sound healing to a certain few frequencies is not giving us the full course. And I will tell you, they say that these are ancient Vedic frequencies or whatnot, a lot of them. They're not. They're not. And I'll tell you why, simply. Frequencies are very specific. Do you know when the concept of measuring frequencies first came into being? The 1880s. So there was no way of possibly these frequencies being used in older times because we didn't have the manner of measuring specific frequencies. The concept of frequency only happened in the 1800s. Before that, we simply used our ears to tune to each other. And whether you're doing rags or whatnot, this was, people would tune to stuff, but they wouldn't tune to specific frequencies. This is basically a musicological truth. We have to really understand that to think that these frequencies were really, really old just doesn't make much sense. I think they came from another star system, personally, if you want to know. And I think that they are a relatively new thing, and that to convince people that they are powerful and sacred, we have to say that they're very old and just rediscovered. I think there are sounds that are being rediscovered all the time, but the frequency bandwidth, we just didn't have the technology. I'm really understanding that the pyramids were built with sound and all this other stuff, but we didn't have the ability of doing measurements that were very, very specific. I'm not going to get into this right now, but a lot of people say, well, Pythagoras, who was the father of geometry, who studied in Egypt and all this other stuff, what he was doing is he was looking at the vibrations of a single string and seeing that these vibrations created these harmonics, and that these harmonics were based on whole number ratios, and the whole number ratios, the ratios, basically were, if you like, found, modern science has found them in crystallography, in crystals, in botany, in chemistry, etc., etc. It's the whole number ratios. But he never dealt with specific frequencies. As an example, here we go. This is a rate. You're going to ask me, what frequencies are you using? It doesn't matter. Listen, this is the ratio of 2 to 3. It'd be Sa and Ga in the Sa Re Ga Ma Pa Da Nisa system. But just listen to the field that is being generated by 2. Here, I'm going to do 1 for just a second so that you can see. Here's 1. Very nice. Now here's another one. But now here's both of them together. See, to create, remember the ancient Egyptians with the onyx? To create a field. And the field allows you to travel through it. And harmonics create the field. I just did that was actually some very advanced sound stuff, but you could see, you could feel the field, couldn't you?
Yeah, it was so powerful. And it was like for some distance, it was not just here. It was like big.
Yes. Nice. Nice.
It was very powerful, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you share some very powerful, deep, profound, miraculous experience of sound healing, either for yourself or through your clients?
Yeah, I've seen miraculous things happen all the time. Too many. Levitation, dematerialization. I've seen things that totally disappear, and reconstruction of reality. Oftentimes you don't have the photographs or the things recording at the times to happen, or when they do happen and they show up in the photographs, people say, well, they're anomalies, or there's something like that. But all right, here's a quote from the New York Times science section. Sound, shaped into dazzling tool, can make, break, or rearrange molecular structure and levitate objects. Now, if you can rearrange molecular structure, what can't you do? So the extraordinary can become ordinary.
Can you share a story of one of your clients?
Nothing is coming to me right now because 1,000 of them were just jumbling through, and whether there were things materializing or dematerializing or people all of a sudden just changing. It was 1987, a time called the Harmonic Convergence, August 16th, special time. I was down in Palenque, an ancient Mayan ruin in Mexico. And I was in a basic temple there. And the guide, I was with a half a dozen other people, and the guide said to me, because he knew of my interest in sound, he said, make sound. And he turned off the light. It was darker than I'd ever experienced. And I began to go, and the room became illuminated. And then after about half a minute, he flipped on the flashlight and said, come on. And later on, I said to the people, I said, did anybody see light happen there? And they said, yeah, it was like, so, I mean, that was just an example that leads into a whole discussion on what is called bioluminescence. And the fact that we have the ability of creating our own light, working with probably the pineal gland and working with it with sound. And also, it may have been that the room was made out of granite, which has quartz crystals in it. And quartz crystals are sonoluminescent, which means that if you basically put pressure on them, they glow. I would like to suggest that we have a website called Healing Sounds. And on Healing Sounds, we have lots of different things. And I've got a great course, one of the most profound experiences that I have basically encountered on this journey this far on the planet is the rediscovery of something called the divine name, which is a basically ancient sound that the sound goes from the crown down to the root and then back up again. It's a vowel-oriented sound, which also somehow is seemingly a resonant like sound that is found in many of the god names on our planet. And I think this is a universal sound that we can use, and we have a wonderful teaching on there called Ascension, Harmonics, the Divine Names. I'd like to suggest people go there, and like to suggest that there are different chakra sounds and all this other stuff. I wanted to share with you just about the hum, because I think it's so important for so many people. I teach this, people are able to apply it immediately to their lives and do a humming practice, and their lives are shifted and changed. Because if everything is vibration, if you can begin to learn how to work with your own vibration and to add intentionality to it, you can change yourself, and then you can change the world.
Absolutely.
We haven't even gotten into the subject of using sound in group form to shift and change the vibratory field of our planet, which is something we do every year for an event called World Sound Healing Day.
We've had a very profound discussion, and thank you so much for generously giving your time and sharing such beautiful techniques on this podcast, which people can practice and actually make a shift in their lives. So thank you again. It's an honor having you here. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Namaste. And remember, we heal the planet, we heal ourselves. We heal ourselves and we heal the planet. We can make a difference, and we have a choice.
Yes, definitely. And I would love to host you again. Thank you.
Thank you for watching and listening in wherever you are in the world. As Ramdas says, that we all are just walking each other home. So thank you for co-creating the new earth along with me and our guests. And if you resonate with me, do subscribe to my channel and do let us know how you find our episodes. Thank you so much. Lots of love.